The state of Texas is making it illegal for HOAs to ban Section 8 tenants. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the state of Texas. Obviously, Texas is a landlord-friendly state, but there's some interesting things that have been coming out of there lately. And I covered an article a while back about an HOA that barred landlords from renting to Section 8 tenants, okay? And, I told you, I do not like it. I don't like it when there's any sort of government or anyone who's telling a landlord how they should operate their business. Whether I can or cannot rent to people with housing assistance should be up to me, should be up to my business, okay? Now, yeah, I talk a lot of mess about Section 8. I don't like the program, but I believe a landlord should have the right to make the decision whether they want to participate or not. There shouldn't be an HOA or a government telling you that, hey, you can't do this with your property. You can't rent to these people with your property. Okay? Property rights are the first thing. You should have the 100% of the decision-making power on who is going into your unit. So this HOA in this place called Providence Village, Texas, had actually banned landlords from being able to rent to Section 8 tenants, right? And the problem was that this would have caused landlords who had already rented to Section 8 tenants to force those people out, to evict those people. And I got a big problem with that, okay? That's not cool at all, If a landlord decides, hey, I no longer want to participate in the Section 8 program, that's a completely opposite or completely different issue than, hey, the city will not let me participate in this program even though I want to. Okay, so before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. What do you think of a HOA that would ban, landlords from being able to operate their business in the way they see fit by saying, hey, you cannot accept Section 8 tenants? Now, they said they did it because of crime and other problems, right? But in the end, it should still, there's no guarantee that the Section 8 tenant is bringing in crime. Yeah, there are Section 8 tenants who are problems, okay? But those people can be dealt with on an individual basis instead of some kind of a blanket ban, okay? So anyway, let's get into this article and see what it says. This article is coming from the TexasTribune.org, and it says, Texas bans homeowners associations from discriminating against renters who receive federal housing aid. All right, let's get into it. In a rare, friendly move to low-income renters, Texas lawmakers this year outlawed a form of discrimination that allowed homeowners associations to ban some tenants from their neighborhoods. The move, spearheaded by State Representative Chris Turner, a Grand Prairie Democrat, was aimed squarely at a North Texas neighborhood that tried to oust poorer tenants who get assistance from the Federal Housing Choice Voucher Program and keep new ones from taking their place. The voucher program, known as Section 8, pays a portion of a low-income household's rent. So this was spearheaded by a Democrat, but I actually agree with this one, right? Because this is not an issue of low income versus high income or an issue of race or any of the topics that they think it is, right? This is an issue about property rights. Okay? Does the landlord have the right to rent to whom they see fit? And that is the real question here. And I would have to say, yes, they do. Okay? And I'm opposed to the HOA telling the landlord, no, you cannot rent to who you want to rent to. That's a bunch of garbage. The Providence Homeowners Association enacted a rule last summer that barred landlords from renting to Section 8 tenants, which would have left the entire town of Providence Village, a town of about 7,700 people, about an hour's drive north of Dallas, off limits to those renters. Critics saw the rule as a blatant racial discrimination, given that the overwhelming majority of the neighborhood's Section 8 renter households were black. That proved too hostile to low-income tenants, even for Republican-dominated Texas legislature. Texas is one of the few states that explicitly allows landlords to reject renters if they receive housing vouchers. Just this year, lawmakers barred cities from creating local ordinances that protect tenants facing eviction. And see, this article, I mean, it's an idiotic argument this article is making. They're like, oh, well, Texas is one of the few places where landlords can reject tenants if they're Section 8. That has nothing to do with this. The landlords wanted the Section 8 tenants in this story, okay? The landlords were already renting to Section 8. The city or the government, the HOA, they were telling the landlords who they could rent to and who did not. Okay, the people who wrote this newspaper article, they are making a stupid assumption, assuming that, oh, well, this is the same issue. This is not the same issue. This is a property rights issue, period. This is not about racial discrimination. This is about the landlord being able to choose who they rent their property to, how they run their business, and a organization above, which I'll just call a government organization, telling them, no, we're going to make that decision for you. And that's what I find wrong. But barring Section 8 tenants from entire neighborhoods crossed the line. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I already read. No. But barring Section 8 tenants from entire neighborhoods crossed the line for a lot of Republicans in the state capitol. Democrats and enough Republicans in the Texas House joined forces during the regular legislative session to approve Turner's bill outlawing the practice. And the bill cleared the Senate with all but 6 Republican votes. It helped, Turner said, that the bill had backing from groups like Texas Realtors and the Texas Apartment Association, as well as housing advocates and groups representing neighborhood associations. Coming September 1st, the practice will be illegal. And yeah, landlord groups are going to stand up and say this was wrong, okay? We want to be able to control our properties. Why is this so hard for, like the people who are on the left? They think that the issue is that we don't like Section 8. No, it has nothing to do with landlords not liking Section 8, right? We want the freedom to choose. We want the freedom to be able to operate our businesses in our manner, okay? We don't want to be forced by the government to do things either way. Either the government wants to force you to accept Section 8 tenants, or the government wants to force you to deny Section 8 tenants. No, we just don't want the government involved. That's what we want. We want to operate our business. We don't want to take people that we don't want or be forced to not take people that we do want. This is the ridiculousness of this whole situation. They think that, oh, well, we can easily, barrel this down into landlords hate poor people or landlords hate welfare or no. Landlords hate government control, okay? That's what we hate. That's what I'm going over every single day with all my videos. Rent control, what do you think that is? That's government control. Property inspections, that's government control. Property registration, that's government control. Eviction moratoriums, that's government control. This was government control. And it was rightfully outlawed. It's rightfully illegal because it takes away our property rights. Goodness, man, people, they need to understand the real issues before they write these articles because, otherwise they don't understand. They just do not understand. Just the facts of what inspired this legislation are so egregious that it really spoke to the need for legislation to end this type of overt discrimination, Turner said. I think that it's very clear that the discriminatory effect is of a policy like this. The Providence HOA Board enacted the policy last June as the neighborhood blamed Section 8 tenants for a perceived uptick in local criminal activity. Tempers had flared on social media and even led to at least one physical confrontation between neighbors. 2 months later, the HOA agreed to pause the policy as the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development launched an investigation into whether the HOA had violated the Federal Fair Housing Act, which explicitly prohibits discrimination based on race. The investigation is ongoing. The HOA policy threatened to displace more than 170 families from the majority white enclave. Of those households, more than 3/4 were black, and most households were headed by women. So, once again, they're trying to turn this into a whole racial issue, right? And you know what? I don't know what the crime problem was, right? But here's what I say about crime. we have to handle the crime issue individually. You know, the people who commit the crimes, we arrest them. If there's a household where, you know, it's a crime problem, then that household needs to be evicted specifically. Okay? If the landlord is not following all the laws and rules and regulations of the area, you know, in order to keep the crime in check, and, you know, they're not doing a good enough job, then we need to get on that landlord. But blankets, you know, we're going to just not even allow Section 8. That's ridiculous, okay? 170 households, landlords were renting to 170 tenants in there who are under the Section 8 program, and you're taking away those landlords, their income. You're taking away their tenants and telling them, well, we don't care how you want to operate your business. We are going to, you know, dictate to you how it's operated instead. And I just don't like that. I can never agree to that. You know, I have my personal feelings about Section 8. Like I said, I am a Section 8 landlord. I have Section 8 tenants. And I don't like Section 8, and yet I still have tenants, okay? So, you know, I have the right to make the decision on my own whether I'm going to accept any more or whether I want to end my participation in the program. And I don't want the government involved.